I am so excited for today's video. I am so excited for today. I don't know if I've ever been this excited to record a video. We're going to go over some business side of things when it comes to owning a Pokemon business, but it is not just designed for Pokemon business owners. This is a really, really important topic that I want you guys all to understand. I think it's really important for collectors, for investors, for card store owners, for casual players, casual collectors, whatever the case may be. This is really important because there's a lot of bad information out there on the market right now. And I apologize in advance if I get over the top with emotions and things like that, but this is just really fascinating information to me. And I think it's really important for you guys to understand. There's a lot of content going on out there right now about reprints, a lot of false information, involving out of print FOMO that is just spreading like wildfire across the community, making bad decisions then when it comes to spending dollars. And I think that you should make your own decision when it comes to spending collection dollars without getting pumped up by a YouTube content creator or by a Twitch streamer or by somebody who has a little bit of a following in the Pokemon community. So I think it's important that you have all the relevant information. So I think this will come as very beneficial to many of you. So I look forward to it very, very much. What is going on, Fan Clan? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Phantump. Happy Friday. If you guys enjoy this type of content, if you could do me a favor, just hit that subscribe button down below. It would mean a lot to me. Leave a like, leave a comment, because it does go a really long way for the algorithm. It helps spread the channel out there. If not, just thank you in general for just giving me the time to listen and giving me a chance. And hopefully I come across as entertaining or informational enough for you to stick around. I appreciate it regardless. So thank you so much for all of that. I'm going to flip you guys around because I really want to get into it. I'm going to try and keep things as short and sweet as possible. I don't know if this image, this picture here, you can see this picture, this is Pokemon cards. This is just cases and cases of Pokemon cards. So this could be an image of the actual warehousing facility that would be located in Bellevue, Washington, which is where the Pokemon Company International's headquarters are. Their corporate headquarters is located just outside of Seattle. They have a couple different printing facilities across the United States. You may remember seeing news blips, news articles over the past few months about them purchasing Millennium Print Group or parts of Millennium Print Group, so that way they could exceed expectations when it comes to printing Pokemon products. That way they could do a better job of printing to demand. So we don't have a situation like what we had a couple years ago where Pokemon cards were basically impossible to find. So those Pokemon cards then get printed at those printing facilities and then shipped over to be stored in Pokemon's warehouse, where they then get distributed to two different networks. And I think this is an important part because a lot of people get confused on this. There's two downward arrows and you can see there's a split in the screen. That's because these products go to two different areas. The first area that I want you guys to look at is on the right hand side here. These are the marketing companies that will then go and stock your big box retailers. So anytime you go to Target or Walmart or GameStop or Barnes & Noble or any retail store, any big box retail store that sells Pokemon cards, they are being stocked by a company like Excel Marketing or like MJ Holdings, who then you can actually go look on some of these repacks, some of these mystery boxes. It'll say this product is repackaged by MJ Holdings or by Excel Marketing, and then it's distributed in these storefronts. So if Target doesn't have any Pokemon cards out, it's not because they have some hidden in the back room. It's because Excel or MJ just hasn't been there to restock the existing supply of Pokemon cards. So it's not necessarily Target that owns these Pokemon cards. It's Excel or MJ Holdings, and they pay a percentage of sales to Target, to Walmart, to GameStop in order to sell these Pokemon cards in those facilities. Then it gets transitioned to you at the bottom there, holding up your Pokeball, the Pokemon trainer. That's where you would buy Pokemon cards. So it goes through that distribution channel. So if you go to your LGS and you see they've got 100 Crown Zenith ETBs, it's not necessarily that they're taking allocations away from your local Target. It's just two completely different networks. Two completely different networks. They don't coincide whatsoever. These marketing companies get their own allocation, and then wholesale companies get their allocation from the Pokemon Company International directly. So at the top on the left-hand side, this is where we're going to spend the majority of our time talking about in this slideshow presentation that I've put together. So you have GTS Distribution, Southern Hobby Distribution. These are two of the biggest wholesalers of trading cards in the United States. There's a whole slew, and we've talked about them a lot. You can just Google who are Pokemon card wholesalers. Pokemon leaves a list of all the wholesale companies in the United States. There's quite a few of them. There's probably like 30, 40 of them that you can kind of reach out to, talk to on your own if you decide you want to start your own Pokemon card business. But we're just going to say GTS Distribution and Southern Hobby, they get products that are then provided to them them from the Pokemon Company International, and they then sell those products to the middleman, which is us, the Card Coliseum. We are the Card Coliseum. It's my store. Then I also put in a couple of stores that you might be used to, like Troll and Toad and like Safari Zone, who then buy from a wholesale company like GTS or Southern Hobby and then sell to you, the end consumer, the Pokemon trainer, then at the bottom there. And this is how things used to work pre-pandemic. So for a long time, that first picture that I showed you, Pokemon's warehouse, they had a ton of product that was existing there. I remember not too far before really the pandemic launched, where I was constantly calling my distributor every week and talking about, okay, what do you have in stock? He would tell me, oh, we have Burning Shadows, we have Evolutions, we still have some of that available if you'd like to order. I would order cases of that pretty much every week. So on the left-hand side here, this is the Pokemon Company International. This is Professor Oak right here representing the Pokemon Company International, calling up distribution networks, calling up Southern Hobby and saying, hey, this is the last call we have for Rebel Clash. We are almost out at our warehouse and we do not have any plans immediately to reprint it. And then Southern Hobby or the distribution channel would then return that phone call or that email and say, perfect, we will let our customers know. That is when I would get a call or a text or an email from my distributor saying, hey, just so you know, Pokemon issued a last call for Rebel Clash. They are running out, so we are going to place an order to get whatever's left of their existing stock. We can sell it to you, but just so you know, once we run out, we're not going to have any more. They have no plans of reprinting at any time soon. And once we get lower and lower in stock, we're going to raise our wholesale price as times go. So then I would kind of put out a story on Instagram or whatever the case may be to say, hey, just so you guys know, Rebel Clash is running low. If you can find them for around $100 a booster box right now, that's a good idea to pick them up because the price is probably going to go up. It might get reprinted in the future, but as of right now, there are no plans to reprint it. So you were able to do that pre-pandemic where you could order cases of a lot of different sets: Unified Minds, Cosmic Eclipse, Unbroken Bonds. Usually the Pokemon Company International would house about 6 or 7 sets where they would have booster box cases of all these sets available for distributors to order, who could then turn them around to LGSs, who could then turn them around to the end consumer. After the pandemic hit, things got nuts. Things went terribly for a lot of you guys, a lot of customers, as well as a lot of LGSs, because Pokemon couldn't print enough. Pokemon could not print enough supply in order to meet demand. So that's when you had sets like Battle Styles come out, where Chilling Reign came out, and the conversation would go a little bit different. So Professor Oak, representing the Pokemon Company International, would reach out to Ash Ketchum, which is representing Southern Hobby Distribution, and would say something like, we will offer 2 waves of Chilling Reign, and that's it. That's all we're going to do. There's not going to be intent of reprinting anything after that, so we're going to offer you 10,000 cases wave 1, and then we'll give you 8,000 cases wave 2. Distribute it how you see fit. And then the distribution companies like Southern Hobby or like GTS would be on the phone, and they would say something like, sounds good, we will allocate these to our customers and let them know. So then they would come up to the customers and say, hey, we'll give you Card Coliseum 500 booster boxes of Chilling Reign wave 1, and we'll give you 500 booster boxes of Chilling Reign wave 2. And at that time, products sold out regardless of what you had in stock. You could sell them at $115, $120, a little bit better than what you were accustomed to selling them for. Profit margins were a little bit better, still better than MSRP for a lot of booster boxes, but they were available and you could sell them pretty easily, as opposed to right now where they move a lot more slowly. This was what was happening during the pandemic. You could not get enough product in your storefront to meet demand because things were constantly selling out so fast, but there would not be excess Chilling Reign for distributors to order from Pokemon Company International. It was just an empty warehouse, or a warehouse that was filled with something else, because it wasn't going to be booster box cases. Then we come up to post-pandemic, or the kind of the area where we are right now, where the pandemic is still a thing, but the printing facilities, all that stuff, supply and demand has kind of gotten under control. So now this is a conversation between the distribution network, Southern Hobby, GTS Distribution, represented by Ash Ketchum here, and our LGS store. So we've got Safari Zone represented, the Card Coliseum ourselves, and Troll and Toad represented. So something like Silver Tempest, for example, our distributor will call us up or email us and say, hey, we can offer each of you 200 cases of Silver Tempest. That means you're getting about 1,200 booster boxes boxes, that's what we can offer you. And we're still at a point right now where Pokemon is saying, this is how much we will give you, Southern Hobby. This is how much we will give you, GTS. We will not have availability of backstock. We will not have excess left over. You take all this, or we will give it to a different distribution network, a different distributor, who will then sell it to their LGSs. So distributors' hands are tied. They kind of have to take all the product, or otherwise it's going to go to a competing distributor. So then they allocate those products directly to the LGSs right away. So the card, Troll and Toad will start out with, they say, okay, we'll offer you 200 cases. Troll and Toad, a really big store. Somebody's got a little bit of financial backing to them. It's probably like, okay, we can take them all. Safari Zone, a little bit smaller, might be like, okay, I guess we'll take them all. Hopefully that helps with our Crown Zenith allocations, because you see something like Crown Zenith, you know it's going to be a popular set. You know you want to be able to have existing inventory because you should be able to sell it around MSRP, which means you will hit your margins. So they're like, okay, well, we don't really want to take all 200 cases, but we will take all 200 cases in the hopes that it will help us with Crown Zenith. And these are just imaginary conversations. This isn't really what happened with the Card Coliseum, but it is to a point right now where things are becoming overwhelming, and a lot of storefronts are in this situation where they've just been overloaded with product, with all the collection boxes and things like that, where they're just like, it's becoming too much. We're just going to have to take 100 cases. We're only going to take 50% of our allocation. We're not going to be able to take all 200 of them. And the important thing to understand is your spend impacts your allocation. So if they turn around and they say, okay, Card Coliseum doesn't want all 200 cases, Troll and Toad, do you want an additional 50 cases? Or Safari Zone, do you want an additional 50 cases? And that gives them the opportunity to kind of take those, increase their future allocations a little bit, whereas the Card Coliseum might get forced to cut back a bit on allocations. They might not get as much offered because they can only take 100 because it's not selling. The demand isn't where it was originally. So that is post-pandemic. That's really the situation that we're in right now. And then we get to this situation now where content creators are out there saying, Chilling Reign is out of print. Everything's out of print. Fusion Strike is out of print. You can't order it anymore from the Pokemon Company. It's not going to be in existence anymore. That's not the case. That is not truth. And there's a lot of people who get confused when somebody goes out there and says, out of print, out of print. Okay, that means it's never going to get reprinted. That's not the case. What is out of print? That's what we need to start with saying. What is out of print? Everything. Everything is out of print. Out of print is defined by a situation where a wholesaler can no longer order from the Pokemon Company International because they do not have any existing stock in their warehouse. So this big warehouse that you see at the beginning of the slideshow presentation, that means there is no existing product there for distributors to order from. When that happens, when Rebel Clash went out of print, Pokemon called up distributors, emailed distributors and said, hey, this is no longer going to be in print. We're not going to be able to order any more of these. We don't have plans to reprint it anytime in the future. So get what you can now. Get what you can while the getting's good, because it's going to run out soon. So out of print, everything is out of print. Everything is out of print. Products are printed to expected demand. We saw this with the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. Pokemon prints what they expect the market can consume. The market can consume at MSRP, making sure that they don't necessarily overprint, and they probably have a little bit, but certainly making sure that they don't underprint, where you run into situations where the Charizard UPC is being sold at $200, $250, $300, where it's being sold double, triple MSRP because there's not enough supply to hit demand. Pokemon is printing to expected demand. Products are then allocated to the LGS, who can either then accept the full allocation, accept a partial allocation, or refuse. Remembering, taking in mind, spend impacts future allocations. So every week, every month, a distributor will update a spreadsheet or an in-stock list that they will then communicate to their LGSs saying, hey, this is what we have available. Products have limited availability, so not necessarily out of print, because a lot of these products can no longer be ordered, especially when it comes to booster boxes from the Pokemon Company International. That is what it means when something is out of print. So right now, every booster box that has been printed so far is technically out of print unless there is a scheduled plan to reprint something. And right now, the only scheduled plans there are for printing are Crown Zenith, which comes out in January, and Scarlet and Violet, that comes out in February. There is no Brilliant Stars reprint planned. There is no Evolving Evolving Skies reprint planned, at least not yet, at least not communicated from the Pokemon Company International to these LGSs, to these wholesalers. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be more that pops up in stores. You might be able to go to big box stores and see repurposed packs, because a lot of times there's additional product that becomes available from other stores, from other distributors, from other LGSs, whatever the case may be, returns, things like that, where you see a lot of existing booster packs that kind of come out of nowhere. You might see check lane blisters of Brilliant Stars show up at stores. You might see sleeve boosters of Evolving Skies that show up in stores. Two different networks. Remember, two completely different networks. So when we talk about products that have limited availability, that is what is still available for ordering from distributors, not necessarily what's being able to, not necessarily what's able to be ordered from the Pokemon Company International, just products that are able to be ordered from wholesalers. So limited availability. Availability is dependent on what stock distributors have on hand. Usually this is made up of what is left after allocations have been dispersed. So you have all these collection boxes. Right now, collection boxes kind of in a state where a lot of LGSs get to order what they're looking for. There's not really forced allocations when it comes to collection boxes. However, booster boxes, there's still allocations. There's still forced allocations out there. So a lot of LGSs will order, X amount of collection boxes, whatever's left over that hasn't been pre-ordered, that hasn't been allocated. That's usually what makes up an existing in-stock list from distribution centers. Distributors oftentimes get opportunities to replenish stock and will oftentimes purchase from marketing companies, other distributors, or even LGSs. A lot of times an LGS like Troll and Toad, for example, might take on 300 to 400 cases of a new set. Let's say they sell 200 cases, they still got 200 cases left over. They're like, hey, we'll probably sell about maybe 50 more cases of Silver Tempest before we're like, this set is kind of done for us. So we can sell back 150 of these cases to our distributor at the same price that we bought them for. So a lot of times then distributors will take them up on that, so that way they have excess stock that they can then disperse and dispense to existing LGSs that aren't named Troll and Toad. That happens very frequently. Otherwise, marketing companies that maybe don't sell all their products, or other distributors that are having a harder time moving some of these products. You see a lot of cases like trainer toolkits, like battle decks, things like that, that don't sell as well, that are kind of still existing on in-stock lists just because they don't move as frequently. Out of print does not mean reprints will not occur, and that is something super important for everybody to understand, because I have heard so much talk about Chilling Reign and about Fusion Strike being out of print. Yes, it is starting to get to a point where it's a little bit older in age. Pokemon will communicate to distributors when they plan to reprint a product, approximate size, and approximate date of when that reprint will happen. Reprint windows often occur within 2 years of a product releasing. Now, I have seen it happen later than that. I've seen Roaring Skies get reprinted after it rotated. I've seen Primal Clash get reprinted, Ancient Origins get reprinted after it had already rotated. The longer a product is released, the less likely it is to be reprinted. Much of it depends on current price points while still legal for tournament play. So we are coming to a point in January where we're going to have rotation happen. That means Sword and Shield, Rebel Clash, Battle Styles, some of these Vivid Voltage, Darkness Ablaze, some of these older Sword and Shield sets will rotate out of competitive play. That means their reprint window really shrinks, because they're less likely to be purchased by the end consumer, since they're not being used for competitive play anymore. So the likelihood of those getting reprinted, much, much less than a set like Evolving Skies or Brilliant Stars that's going to be around in the competitive format for at least another year yet. So as these products age, the likelihood of them getting reprinted shrinks down. Chilling Reign has only been out for about a year and a half. Fusion Strike has only been out for about a year. The likelihood of them getting reprinted, small, but definitely possible, definitely within the realm of possibility in the near future. Now, the caveat is, as we move forward, Pokemon has said to distributors that they will reprint items. However, once their MSRP increases with Scarlet and Violet, the reprinted items that they do will have to be honored by their old MSRP. So a booster box right now of Brilliant Stars, which costs $143, if Pokemon comes out in March and says we're going to reprint Brilliant Stars, they will still follow the MSRP guidelines from when the set was originally released. So they would stick to that $143 MSRP mark for a set like Brilliant Stars, even though the MSRP is going up for Scarlet and Violet. A booster box will cost more. So it's really important to understand that, because that kind of brings the reprint likelihood down a little bit more, because you have to wonder, well, why would Pokemon want to reprint a set that's going to sell for less money than a set that they're currently printing that will sell for more money? money. So I really wanted to narrow all this down because I don't want you guys to fall for FOMO or fall for anything that's going on. A lot of stuff is getting really blown out of proportion. And I want you guys, I think a lot of it is just boiled down to education and understanding of the way the whole system works. And the system can get very confusing, but out of print really relates to the availability of the product at the Pokemon Company International. Once you can't order stuff from them anymore, then it's technically out of print because it's already gone to middleman A. You know, it's not in stock anymore for anybody to order. And middleman A could just sit on that product for 20 years. They don't have to sell it to any end consumer whatsoever, but then it goes to an LGS and then it gets dispersed to you guys, to the end consumer, to the customer base. So a reprint, while it's possible for Chilling Reign, possible for Fusion Strike, not necessarily out of print because it's been out of print pretty much since the set released, but still available to be purchased in pack form and collection boxes, and possibly in the future because distributors could still load up on some of that product from existing LGSs, from marketing companies, places like that. I know distributors who just got Chilling Reign booster boxes in, who just got Fusion Strike booster boxes in because they were able to purchase it from another distribution point than the Pokemon Company International. So it's really important to understand everything so that way you don't make a hasty decision when it comes to spending your collection dollars. I hope you guys enjoy that. I hope it all makes sense. Feel free to leave comments down below if you have any questions. You can reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at Danny.Phantump, on Twitter at Danny__O. I just want to make sure that you guys understand everything because I don't want you guys making the same mistakes that I've made in the past. Ultimately, thank you guys so much for listening to my presentation. I feel like I'm in college again writing a paper, but I hope you guys liked it. If you do, hit that subscribe button down below. Share the channel. It goes a long way to our goal, to our quest. Leave a like, leave a comment because it goes a long way for the algorithm. But most importantly, just thank you for giving me the time of day. I really appreciate you guys. Until next time, peace.